public property. And there's something called an area which is called a Mokom Patur, a place that's not private, not public, and would be an exempt area, because we know that there is one of the 39 malachot on Shabbat is called Hutzah. Hutzah is to carry from private to public, or to public to private, or for amot, or for carrying, picking up something in public property and walking a distance of 4 amot, which are about 6 to 8 feet, and then stopping. Those are the three major biblical Torah prohibitions of carrying a Shabbat. Now, we know there's something called Eruv. An Eruv allows you to to carry, and places where they don't have an Eruv, sometimes the prohibition to carry might be rabbinic, sometimes it will be biblical, depending if it meets the requirements of a public domain on a Torah level. Because if you have a small neighborhood or a small town USA does not have 600,000 people like they had in the desert, where the Torah counted 600,000 men over 20. And the case of the Torah of carrying is similar to, it's how Rashi's opinion, which Rashi understands that the requirement in order to be a public property according to Torah requirements, you have to have 600,000 people in the area traveling, hustling and bustling and going through. So therefore, many of the suburbs will not have that problem, and therefore they will not be a public domain on a Torah level, but looks like a public domain, acts like a public domain. So rabbinically, if you're going to carry from your house to that type of public domain, you're going to carry to the real public domain. Therefore, the rabbis made a siyag. What did you say? And that's people. So let's say New York City, Brooklyn, New York. There are millions of people that are trapped. So according to Moshe Feinstein, Manhattan, Brooklyn would meet the requirements of a public domain according to the Torah. And if it meets the criteria, you cannot carry even with a roof. But others say that it might not meet. There might be other technicalities why it might not meet the Torah requirement of public domain, and therefore with an Eruv would help. So those are 3 of the 4 places. That's right, but it's not everyone carries here in Manhattan.
Orders.
Rabim, well, yeah, I'm saying that's a good question. Really, we have to study the subject. There's a whole tractate called Eruvin, but if it's continuous, most probably it's considered all part of that area. Then there's a 4th area called a Carmelit. Carmelit is a place which is not public, not private, also, but rabbis will forbid you to carry in that area because it has similarities to public and private. And you might come to carry from private to public or public to private if you could carry in that area. So, good morning, Mark. So there's
Rabbi.
There's 2 areas that are Torah, the 2 areas that there's a Torah problem, public and private. The private will be from private, public, private. And there's 2 other areas that are, one of them is actually called an exempt area, which is not, no rabbis did not make any fence. And then good morning, Simon, welcome back. And then there's an area that the rabbi said is very similar to we have to make it a fence. We have to say you can't carry in that area if you would not have the Eruv. So those are the 4 different places. So now the Gemara is we are on 6A3 Chatzerot Shel Rabim. So now we're talking about, you have a courtyard. And the courtyard, let's say, is in front of your house. And that courtyard is shared by a number of houses. You have your house, Ben has his house, Simon has his house, and they all open to this courtyard. This courtyard, since it is shared by the group members of who own these houses, if you would be carrying from now technically on a Torah level, you could carry from your house to the courtyard. Courtyard is enclosed. It belongs to the owners of the properties. but the rabbis made a decree to say that you cannot carry from your house to the courtyard unless you also unite like one. Because the concern is if you carry from your house to the courtyard, which is shared by multiple people, you might come to carry from your house to the real public property. But if you go ahead and you do something to make yourself as if you're all one, that you're not multiple, that this courtyard like belongs to one family, because let's say you put the food, you collect food from each member of each resident, they give a certain amount of food and they put it in one member's house, so it's as if that's the place of residence, and therefore you could carry from your house um, to that courtyard. Now, so that's what the Gemara now is going. And then there's also, mentioned yesterday, good morning, Asaf. We mentioned that some of the courtyards would run into an alley. And that alley would run into public property, adjacent to public property. And let's say that alleyway is shared by multiple courtyards. Let's say you have, these group of houses have a courtyard, these group of houses have a courtyard, and they run into an alley, and that alley runs into public property. And let's say if the alleyway is only open on one side, so it's closed on three sides, there's three walls. So if it has three walls, that's a private area on a Torah level. But again, everybody is sharing, all the courtyards are sharing this alleyway. And so you also have to do something to collect food also. So you have to also do something to collect food from the members of the courtyard and put it into one of the courtyards. So we have to do something also over there to unite and to make some sort of eruv with the courtyard, with the alleyway as well. That's called shituf, partnership of the movement of the alleyway. And you all know as well, as you see, if the alleyway is adjacent to public property, so people need some sort of reminder or something to know that this is alleyway, which is private, and the public is public. So you have to do something to put something up. People should recognize that. People shouldn't just make a mistake. So that's what the Gemara now is talking about over here on 6a3 on the right side. Chatzerut shel rabim. If you have courtyards at many houses, everyone have it on 6a? Ben, you got it? Everyone got it? Yeah. 6a3 on the right side. If you have courtyards shel rabim of many people, umuvaot she'ina mufulashim. And by the way, you'll have this situation if there'll be issues if you live in let's say a condo building with condos, right? Everybody owns their own apartment, and everyone owns their own apartment, so those hallways are shared by each member, each one who owns a condo, so that you have an issue of carrying on Shabbat in a place where there's no eruv. If there's eruv, then there's no issue. But as I say, there's places there's no eruv.
But you're talking about the hallways inside in the condo.
Right, the inside, just like the courtyard is inside. Courtyard.
Whoa! This is a newsflash to me.
And that's why you're here, Mark. Right, exactly. So if everybody owns an apartment and there's no eruv, and there's no eruv in the city, and you can't carry in the city, now you want to know, I want to carry, okay, I can't carry outside. Can I carry in the hallway? My hallway, I want to go from my house to the hallway. Right? Yes.
So on apartment A, 1A and 2, 3A and 2A and 3B, and there's a hallway, you need a roof inside in a hallway?
Right, yes. If you have everyone owns an apartment or a building, and there's no area of town. You're living in Rochester, New York.
Manhattan.
Manhattan, right? Manhattan. People who don't carry in the area. I don't carry in the area of Manhattan, right? So if I would be my apartment building. So what they did was they bought they bought the rights of the hallway from the management, or they rented, they did something, the rabbis in town, for 99 years. And they owned the rights, let's say, of they did something over there they have the rights of the hallways, but they did something, and they made an Erev Chatzerot. They make an Erev Chatzerot in the building, but they did something to lease the. I have to find out exactly how they did it, but that would be yes in Manhattan. If a person who does not carry with the Erev, does not hold with the Erev, they would not be able to carry from their house to the hallway. Now, if you would be renting, if everybody would be renting an apartment in a building, and the owner, the landlord, has items in the apartment, movable items. Let's say he has bed, he has a refrigerator, he has certain things in every apartment like it used to be. So then, because the landlord had something in each apartment, that united each of the apartments, and that would not then there's an leniency that you would not need that many would hold you would not need an eruv to unite everybody. The same way if you put food, if you have food and you have food from each member, that and you put the food in one of the apartments, whatever the laws, how much food you have to give, that would unite the people that belong to one. If the landlord has something in every apartment, he has a refrigerator like it used to be, whatever certain furniture in each apartment, that would also be good. But today's day and age, that's when you rent an apartment. Let's say if they're renting an apartment by students in a college, right? So many colleges, the owner of the building, the landlord, leaves the refrigerator, all that stuff in it. So therefore there would not be a problem going, this is my personal room. But the fact that the landlord has something in each apartment, that would make it, I would not need to go ahead and make this
Yeah,
Erev
but
to unite the
every
people.
every apartment has a refrigerator in it now. They
Yeah, but
don't.
who does the refrigerator belong to, Ralph?
But the
If
building.
if it belongs to the building, then you're good. But there's some places, right? If some people might have situations that the building that they don't have anything in the apartment. They don't.
Let's go back to the one that they bought or 99-year lease on the hallway. So that's collectively owned by not you. So that's the same example as yesterday when I said the courtyard's owned by me and David and Kelly Carey. And you're saying no. And today, now because it's owned by the rabbis, that you could carry there, or it needs
Okay,
to
we have to see more of those details. I have to look into more of those details, Mark, about how they made it work.
And
But
how does the eruv work inside of a building?
inside the building, if
How does it
if
work? We know we put
if
a
you're dealing with
pole.
only
We
this,
outside we put a pole and a string.
right, but inside the building, you would collect food from each member of the building, each member of the houses. But then also to get issued, but if you have goyim there, now you're getting into other issues. The goyim are not, so
Right.
now
So
we
how does the eruv work?
right. So but right, so the goyim, so I think because they couldn't get the food, the won't work. The goyim, they had to rent. The reason why they had to rent the hallways because because of the goyim that lived, the non-Jews that lived in the neighborhood, that lived in the building, that would make therefore that would stop. It's not like if we have only Jews in the building, right? We have a 4-story building, let's say, the old days. And everybody's Jewish. Now you would just collect food from each person, or somebody, or you collect food from each person, or someone could do it, give a certain amount of food on behalf of everybody. However, there's a way to do it if you only have Jews. But if you don't only have Jews, now you can't. Now you can't just be collecting food. So now you had to go ahead and you had to rent. They had to go ahead and somehow get the management who controls the hallways, or owns the hallways, or rights to the hallways, to somehow lease it out or give it to the. If now we have to see how they did it, but that's why the collecting of the food would not have been enough. by the situation of the buildings, because you have if you have like the old story of the Gemara, you have a few houses, let's say they're owned by Jews, and those few houses that are owned by Jews, you have a courtyard that the houses open up into, right? So therefore, it'll be very easy if the few houses are owned by Jews, you just go ahead and collect food from each member of the houses, and they put it into one of the houses, and then you could go ahead and carry into the courtyard. But yes, Ben.
Yep, you can have shared ownership of the courtyard. Let's say it's a courtyard, but owned by, let's say, the town. Do they need to have ownership of the courtyard, or does it matter?
So the fact that if the courtyard is private area, right? If it has 3 walls around it or 4 walls around it, it's enclosed, right? That makes it private. But there's still a problem. I can't carry from my house to this courtyard because the courtyard resembles. Good morning, Emmanuel. Because the courtyard resembles public property, because it's shared by many people. So if I have this place, it's with many families use this area. If I come and carry from a house to this area, I might come to carry from this house into public property.
So it's the same.
This is a big issue. This is called the Eruv Chatzerot. That's why when you hear about an Eruv Chatzerot, Chatzerot is the courtyard, and your hallways is the courtyard.
So basically, you can't carry from private to private, and the courtyard is private to private.
Right, you can't carry private to private, even not even private to private. The courtyard is private to. It's not private because it belongs to the members of the houses, and you can't carry from there without some sort of uniting everybody. Even though it's owned by all the members, all the houses could own that courtyard, but since it's shared by multiple families,
So private.
people, it has resemblance of, there are interesting things. If we take out the Shulchan Aruch on these laws, here is something.
What it'll look like inside? Is it same as outside?
Oh, see, this Eruv, it's food. This is an Eruv. It says, let's say everything. This is the Eruv about food. This is about food that you put the food into one of the people's houses. That's what the Eruv looks like. If
No, I don't think physically what is it. I know when I go out and I come to my house, if I want to put it around my property.
right. There's something called this. Right. Inside. What's the issue? We have to know what the issues are. When we have on the outside of someone's property and it's something called make a surata petach. They go in and they put a board over here, a board over here. They put a string across, so it looks like it shows you like you're entering some sort of area. So that do you recognize? Therefore, that serves as a sign. So we'll see many houses in Brooklyn to do not carry with the Eruv. They will go ahead in front of the house, front of their lawn. They will have this. So inside the house, now what's the concern inside the issue of inside the courtyard, right? What we're talking about, the courtyard, the hallways. There is no issue of showing anybody anything. It's just to unite because it's not adjacent to public property. So therefore, we collect food from each member of the courtyard, or there's halachas that maybe if someone could do it for everybody. There's a certain way of doing it that you collect food and but your whole right, but people in your whole first of all, they're not Jewish. See, a Jewish, right? But if they all be Jewish, then there would be a say it again. Not many are Jewish, but not everyone's Jewish. Like I said, so in your building you would have a big problem. You have a big problem in your building to carry in your courtyard. You would not be able, in my humble opinion. Again, we have to see. You'll talk to one of your poskim about it. What do you do in the lobby of your building if you want to carry in your hallway? Your apartment is a private property, and you're going into a shared into a shared property, the hallway, let's look at the.
I still don't understand. Okay, share food. They're cooking food from everybody.
and they put it into one apartment, and it looks like, then it like unites as if everybody lives in that apartment. As if that,
Okay, so now.
now I can carry from that, what? They're not all they're all Jewish, but the food is not, so then you can't carry from your,
No, putting it over.
what's there to do? What's there to do? You're stuck. Right, in one house, but that only would work if they're all Jews. Let's take out Shulchan Aruch, you know, black and white. Let's do the code of Jewish law, right? We're gonna move on to Shulchan Aruch, right? A courtyard that many houses open up into. The rabbis forbade you to carry from your houses to the courtyard until you make an eruv. And then he explains, what is this eruv? The hainu, you collect bread from every house, and you place it into one of the houses of the courtyard. And as a result of that, we look as if they're all living in that house. So usually they collect, they usually do is they use matzah that lasts the whole year, because you don't want to use chametz and leave the chametz over Pesach. And as long as it's around, and usually every year, maybe they might redo the Erev every year, and they collect matzah. No.
Theoretically, if I buy a box of matzah, you all give me $1. We own that matzah together with them. You know
I mean, if you all share, okay, again, there are technical laws about, yeah, but you'll see what's like, if everybody will see, now it's as if the whole courtyard is specific to that house. When you collect the food and you put the food all in one person's house, when he may, it's as if this courtyard belongs to this house. It's not like this courtyard belongs to many houses, because everybody is like living in this house, but everybody's food is in this house, and therefore you could go ahead and carry from the house into this courtyard. Here's the language. Like the house is as if everybody's living in that house, right? And therefore that courtyard belongs to that house. Everyone, it's not that the courtyard belongs to everybody's house, right?
Courtyard goes to the house.
Right. And
so there's no other implications of that one person takes the matzah of the year. There's no other implications to have the whole responsibilities.
No response. Just to make everybody else, everyone's living in that house. Now,
I find it tough to believe that in closed area buildings.
it's jointly. Now let's understand it.
Have a water?
It's jointly used by all the different houses. What's the difference between having a courtyard in front of a house?
Every courtyard problem that ever existed was open.
Right. Very good. That's true. That's a good point. But we're still.
No, government building's public, right?
But you have a building, public.
Let's go to this building. It's not owned by us.
Right.
It's public property.
No, but it's private. No, it's private property. This is private property. It's used for the public, but it has the fact that it has these walls. Remember we spoke about that. If you build a building, even though I'm going to say it belongs to the public, but it's private. It's still private because it's
public building.
Right. Right. You could carry in a public building. You're saying how can you? Because the fact that building it has 3-4 walls on it. Again, but the difference is when your apartment hallway, the issue is you're going from private houses, private apartments, into a public area. So you're carrying from private to something that has resemblance, a courtyard or your hallway. Your hallway of your building is shared by all the members of the house, of the building. But you have your own specific ownership of your apartment. It's owned, right? It's owned. And it's owned by everybody. but just like a courtyard in the old days, we
But
all,
there's still exclusions to others, meaning it's not owned
right,
by.
just like a courtyard in the old days. The courtyard in front of the houses, we had few houses. We had a court, it's shared by, it's owned by all the members of the courtyard. It's even enclosed. But what's the issue? The issue is if people carry from their house into the courtyard, which is another, it's a different area. It's not, it's another area that's, what do you say? It's a different category. It's not the same building like Mark was talking about. It's not the same public building that we're in the building.
Is that the case though, that considered courtyards that they're referring to back in the day were privately owned by the building?
It's true, they're privately owned, but the issue is, but since what'd you say?
If it's one or
That's not
one,
saying it's privately, that's what I'm saying,
let's say
collectively.
it's one owner, two guest houses, then it could be all owned by one person.
I said,
Let's say if it's three homes, the person owns all three homes, and it's just like, oh, come stay with me for Shabbat.
yeah, that should not be,
Then you can use it, but once it's all individual owners, then it becomes
because since it's owned by multiple, since all people have it, so it's like a more public type of place. It has some resemblance. Now, of course, you're right. On a Torah level, there is no problem. Because Torah level, it's still private property. It's not public property. You're 100% right on the Torah, but the rabbis are here to protect us. And they're afraid if you're going to go ahead, you're going to carry from your private house into this shared area, which you understand it's not private. It's shared, but you might come to carry into what? Another shared area, a real public property.
What if there is no possibility to carry it to the other area? I mean, you literally can't.
Why can't you? The fact you saw today, I went ahead and I went from my home into this hallway, into this courtyard. So
Yeah, so
morning, Emmanuel.
Like your courtyard that you have the people on that floor, what would it do? In theory, the only other option you could do is go into another area of another courtyard that's also owned by the building.
All of these hallways in the building is owned by the.
Are they considered multiple courtyards? Or are they considered one giant courtyard?
The front door.
But there's doors separated, it's enclosed by each thing.
Is there a scenario where a building can say, I give you ownership of this hall?
Right. So that's what we have to look into for how they did it. If they right. That's what they did. They had it because they had an issue.
They're owning it collectively. It's like owning the courtyard.
Yeah, so we have to see how they rented it. Right, but if the rabbis rented it out, right? So now let's say that if they formulated that they rented it, and the rabbis now it's owned by all the Jewish people, let's say. So then now you can work with the bread. Now we can work with the bread because we address the non-Jew, because now no longer he's not in the game. Now it's only if that's how they formulate. We have to see. Then now we could collect bread, and now again they don't have to collect bread from each and every person. You could take a certain amount of bread, and on behalf of everybody, there's a way to get.
You buy a box of nuts and $1. Good.
Right, maybe we have to see how they do it. Good. It sounds right. We have to see.
Participate with money.
Right. There's a way. But usually they don't even have to do that, Mark. If someone could just give it on their behalf on everything. And maybe someone could buy a box of matzah or 2 boxes, whatever it is. We'll see whether the halakha has certain details, and I'll give it to you, and you acquire it on behalf of all the members of the courtyard, and that's it. Because they don't need to have to be as detailed as everyone collecting $1 from each one or a certain amount of bread if everybody gives so that is, I want to see a little bit more about it's in Chatzeros. So that's a little bit about what, how this Eruv is going to work over here. Try to see. Okay, so people need to definitely look into this halacha. You have to look into what do people do, and all these buildings that you, like I said, if you're renting and they leave something in every apartment, that's a leniency. If you're renting from a landlord, and the landlord has a refrigerator in every apartment or any of that, then you ought to rely on your good. But if he doesn't,
So tactically, or specifically, like when I leave my booklet, I gotta make sure my gloves, everything now, right? I go outside public. They say in my apartment, I can't put my gloves on
in the hallway,
in the
correct,
hallway or before I walk out into the public area. I gotta put my.
In your
my
own apartment.
Or
exactly,
everything has to be done.
right, exactly.
Never.
That's why we come to. All right, that is a. I wanted to see if we could find something else about this.
So Rabbi, so the only thing that you can do is put an Eruv up and then you're okay in the hallway.
Right. So if the city has an Eruv,
No, I'm talking about in the hallway of the apartment building. If you put
right,
the
so the
Eruv
hallway,
up,
right, the hallway in the apartment building would have to do with more collecting food from each person, or collect or whatever. However, that's what have to. Okay. There's a nice piece over here. I want to see if I can find it.
How about it? Does it talk about it like more modern buildings?
Everybody is says that you can rely on the city, but what it
Who says that?
yeah. It says there's what to rely on, but
There's no way, there's more than the traffic of 600,000 people in Manhattan, it kills any possibility.
instead of one people, they're talking about one people. Moshe Feinstein says the whole thing. But, so he says that the void, so it's like, they're carrying the city, you need to have something to rely on it.
Okay, so let's continue. Let's continue in the Gemara, everybody.
You know.
No, we don't.
What's
Right.
the answer to everything, city?
I'm saying Moshe Feinstein says you can't make an Eruv in the city. He says you can't carry. Now, you have if there are other people might have made an Eruv in the city. You have to look into that. I mean, I'm not. We don't follow. Yeah.
I know you thought.
Yeah.
Would Rav Moshe have been okay if, let's say, we're built a tall wall around the city? Would that be okay? Would that have been okay? With his
A tall wall in the obviously.
Let's say we take a look at that, would that be okay to carry? His point.
I mean, definitely it would change a lot of things. Again, we'd have to look into his tshuva. We have to look into. It's a very complicated subject, but obviously there's much more going on if you have walled city. You know what I'm saying? A walled city, makes things a lot different. You know what I'm saying?
That's okay, a city, and if you live in an apartment building, if you have 4 walls, you have to do all this matzah stuff. Like, why would that be? Why would it be stricter for a building than it would be for, let's say, an area that's so obviously public? That was.
If you have a walled city, if you look, right, if you look at note, I mean, obviously there's much more room to allow a walled city. You know what I'm saying? But if you look at,
Does he allow it?
I mean, I don't know what he personally holds in Jerusalem. You know what I mean? I know that many people who will not carry in Manhattan will carry in Jerusalem. You know what I'm saying? So that, and I think that does right does a lot. What'd you say?
Best case scenario, all around.
Right, yeah, that definitely does a lot. There's an interesting note here in the art scroll about yeah, about if
Walled city, game changer. The walled building.
Yeah, how is it?
Hallway, my wall is a wall.
Doesn't make sense. How far does this make sense? Maybe I don't understand the issue with the wall city. It just seems to me like that
again,
doesn't match up.
if you have the walled city, so then let's say if we say that makes it, you know, that makes
Living in the wall city, somehow that's less strict than if you had a building. It's just very hard to understand.
okay, so we have to see, also we have to know what they do by the walled city. What is right? What does the wall, right, the walled city will take it, let's say we'll remove it from being a public area on a Torah level, right? It's definitely, you know, but the question would be, what would, you know, it's still every, you know, on a rabbinic area, you know, the question is there anything that they need to do by the walled city? Is the walls enough? We would have to really look more into Asaf, exactly what the story of the walled city. Okay, it's a very great, we have to look into it, yes. No, you cannot carry a baby into the house public without an Eruv, unless you have an Eruv, cannot. Right, we, in the Lower East Side, we don't take babies to synagogues. We wait until they grow up a little bit. Brit Milah, so what, Brit Milah, they do it in the house. They do the Brit Milah in the house.
When they do the Brit Milah,
The comedy, as long as it meets whatever that, if you can carry there, then you can do the Brit Milah there. You know, if the building, if it's enclosed, and let's say if it's a courtyard, you have to figure out how to make this Eruv issue. Ralph, have a great day. Adam, have a great day. Thank you all for
I'm
joining.
more confused than ever, Rabbi.
Okay, but we'll get clarity. We'll get more. We'll become clear as time goes. The more we learn, the more we become have more. But everybody heard about an interesting thing. I dropped the bomb, so to speak, today. No, the more and the more the Shabbat will be a better Shabbat. How do you like that? You'll be focused more. If you have less to do, you'll be focused more on taking in the whole Shabbat. How do you like that? Have a great day. We got some good. Everyone's so happy. That's beautiful. All the best, everybody. We welcome everybody to join today.
All right, so
See you.